Bird flu is slamming a big part of California's agriculture economy. State officials said 2/3 of its dairies are now under quarantine due to the infection. California is the nation's largest dairy producer with more than 980 dairies. Farmers are frustrated because bird flu seems to be spreading rapidly despite precautions. Some evidence suggests contaminated equipment and people who work at multiple farms can spread the virus. California Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency to help agencies address the problem. The Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as Obamacare, is on track for another year of record signups. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services said that 16.6 million people enrolled for coverage beginning January 1st, 2025. That's a record for full-year coverage signups. CMS reports 2 million people are new signups. In 2024, a total of 21.3 million Americans enrolled in Affordable Care Act coverage. Open enrollment will continue through January 15th. If you enroll now, your coverage will begin in February of 2025. Major legal decision in Montana. The state Supreme Court upheld a district court ruling in the first youth-led climate lawsuit in U.S. history to go to trial and secure a victory. Montana will now be required to assess the environmental and public health impacts of its fossil fuel projects. Nearly half of the states in the country have legalized marijuana for recreational use. Among the issues that law enforcement officials have to deal with is determining when someone is too high to drive. Blood tests can detect how much pot is in a driver's system, but those tests can take days. As Jared Dean shows us, research is being done at one university that could change that time frame.
Like a needle in a haystack when you have tiny amounts to detect versus alcohol. It's much more robust and much more standardized in terms of the higher levels.
According to Associate Professor of Psychology and Neuroscience at CU Boulder, Cinnamon Bidwell, her team's research is geared toward developing a better impairment detector by using a multi-breath testing system to help pinpoint a base level for cannabis in the system. Sherry Mendez with the Colorado State Patrol says driving while high is a serious problem.
It's just as bad as drinking alcohol and going behind the wheel.
This comes as Patrick James Sneddon was charged with vehicular homicide in a crash that killed 3 people, including 2 CDOT workers in Mesa County. Sneddon is also charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Trooper Mendez says Sneddon was weaving, which is a sign they look for while looking for impaired drivers.
We look for signs such as weaving, careless driving, any kind of driving acts like driving slow or too fast. You can also be impaired and cause a crash and hurt somebody when you think it's just harmless.